Hi, and welcome to another thrilling instalment of Zonal's Byte-Sized Tech Tours. My name is Joel Wilson, and I am Technical Sales Manager. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of being joined by Mr. Jonathan Grant. Johnny, hello.
Hello there, I'm Johnny Grant, Director of Technical Sales at Zonal, and it's a pleasure to be on the opposite side of the fence for a change on a Byte-Sized Tech Tour.
Well, it's lovely having you here, Johnny. Today, we are talking about data, we're talking about reporting, and specifically, we're talking about our own product, Dimensions Plus. As we know, data has always been so important to businesses, but major headwinds which have been caused by COVID, been caused by Brexit and geopolitics has had a significant impact on costs, on supply chain and on our staffing levels. So having data that's accessible to us has become so important in understanding the impact of these things to our businesses. Operators need to be able to see, to be able to understand and respond quickly to any changes in their business from one place. And we also now have lots of data coming in from multiple sources. So having that holistic view has become really key. So Johnny, I'm sure you've got some valuable insight into this area. As always, as you well know, I have 3 questions. My first question for you is, what are the current trends in business intelligence?
Yeah, I think there's, as you quite rightly said, there has been lots of change. And I think that's fundamentally what's important here, isn't it? When there's change, we need to understand that change, and how do we understand it? Through the data reporting that we get from our businesses. And I think as businesses have had a need to adapt to change, there's been a lot of tactical changes, a lot of tactical implementations of things, of systems, of processes and all that kind of stuff. And I think what we found is that there's been a bit of a lag in the catch up of data behind that. So we've got ever more data sources, ever more places with a need to analyze and a need to kind of start bringing all that together under one roof to kind of get that, like you say, that holistic view, both the holistic view and the detailed view, as well as to what's happening to our businesses based on all the things around the world that we've talked about. In that vein too, it's not just having all those different data sources. Businesses are needing to find ways to flexibly access that data, to understand it a bit better. They need it to be dynamic. They need to be able to quickly view one set of data to a next, and perhaps what the relationships are, and have really responsive ways to get into that data, understand it, and to interrogate it better. And I think lastly, the last trend we've kind of been seeing is the need for it to be actionable. Is one thing, having the information. It's another thing, taking that information and doing something with it. And especially as all the pressures you've talked about are in play, being able to very quickly respond to changes or specific sets of information is important. And so they're all things we're seeing right now from a trend point of view.
Okay, cool. And how does Dimensions Plus help with this?
So Dimensions Plus is Zonal's business intelligence product. It's been around for some time. And I think one of the most important things about Dimensions Plus is actually the inherent data that we float in it. Zonal's rich ecosystem of technology and products is naturally integrated, and there's a natural workflow of data as operators use our systems, and kind of that flow goes through from bookings to loyalty to EPOS and operations and kitchen times and deliveries and stock results and all that kind of lovely stuff. Is there's a natural flow of things that just inherently makes the data that our customers get out of Zonal systems really, really, really rich. So actually, a starting point for Zonal is really, really good, and gives a really good stepping stone for something like business intelligence. With Dimensions Plus, what we have is a platform where we've taken all of our lovely data and tidied it up a little bit to make it more BI palatable, and then presented that into Microsoft's Power BI platform. Power BI was chosen because it's widely used. Microsoft's suite of products is a very common platform, is incredibly powerful, has a lot of kind of wider integrations with other 365 elements, and yeah, it's just it's a really, really flexible platform. So that's why it was chosen. The work we've done is to build that data, present it into that world. We've built a bunch of off-the-shelf dashboards, BI dashboards that take advantage of that data, which means that our customers can get pretty much off-the-shelf, enterprise-grade BI reporting, really simply and really easily. And actually, there's a range of use cases that we've got here. So for customers who just want, the kind of the BI reports and are not really interested in kind of like delving too far into the underlying data, then that's absolutely fine, of course. And that can be presented in Microsoft's Power BI or in Zonal's own core Dimensions product. But for those businesses that do have some desire to get their own lead on their own kind of data and BI reporting journey, then Microsoft's Power BI allows them to get into that data, build their own dashboards, build their own reports, and kind of take their journey on from there. So that flexibility flexibility is really, I think, what a lot of our customers really love about it. Plus the fact, of course, it's cloud-based, mobile accessible, all that kind of other stuff is included there too.
Okay, cool. And yeah, and I think that flexibility of data, not having to just use a standard view all the time, I think is really important, particularly as businesses move and grow. Great. So my final question for you is, what is the future of business intelligence?
Yeah. So I think it's probably going to be no shock that the future, I think, is AI driven. I think one thing that's become very, very clear is that the sheer amount of data that is out there is becoming harder and harder to understand and to handle. And one of the great things about Zonal and Dimensions Plus is that we've got a team of people who've been doing this for literally decades. Understand both hospitality, the industry, and the data itself. But that's only going to get harder and harder to understand, to work with, to create something that's meaningful with all this kind of reams and reams of data. So I think AI will play a big part of that. I think we'll start seeing a move from kind of traditional dashboard reporting into natural language based kind of interrogation of data. So show me some information about my burgers, or show me how many sales I've had versus something else in the last 2 weeks, or something to that effect. So that kind of giving access in a natural way to those in a business who need to see it. And actually, we've seen some really good examples of that even today in some businesses where they're, instead of board reports and things like that, they're actually building all of the data into the AI layer, and then the business just gets access to the bits that they need whenever they need it. So really, really interesting stuff. I think again, leaning on the kind of the sheer scale of data that's coming through, machine learning becomes more and more important. So actually, and it's not just kind of the typical data sets that we understand, like sales and performance, but it's things like, how do people use a system? How do your guests use a system? What buttons do they press in? That kind of like metadata that sits around it is all becoming really, really important too. So machine learning, I think, can really play a part in that, in bringing that understanding to the forefront and creating those connections in the data where there is kind of trends and synergies. And last but by no means least, automation. Kind of once we get to the stage of having AI doing a lot of stuff for us, that automation becomes possible. So actually, based on our business requirements, we can say, okay, if data trends start showing things like X, Y, or Z, then our system should respond in a way that responds to that. So it could be things like bookings. Actually, we're seeing a drop in bookings over a certain period. So actually, we want to perhaps automatically create something that drives some interest. It could be a discount, it could be a promotion. That's an example of, once we got the reassurance that the data and the AI that we're using is doing well, we get the confidence to then move forward and start automating some of these things.
Yeah, and I think that is really important. Having access to reliable data and then being able to use that data to fine tune your operations, fine tune your your business is going to be even more important in moving forward, I think. So Johnny, as we thought, some wonderful insight there. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to see you again soon. See you later.
Thank you very much. Bye now.